Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you for being with me again today. As you probably know, NATO, the so-called defensive alliance, has certain rules for accepting new members into its organizations, and for good reason. Good reasons. I think those rules and procedures are legitimate and very well thought. One of the preconditions before you join the alliance is you have to, as a country who applies for membership, must be certain that has no there's no territorial disputes and no issues with the neighbors, the neighboring countries, and also within the alliance, so it doesn't create problems. And I'm talking about problems. For instance, if I am, because you're going to draw the whole alliance into a war if you do have this kind of problems. So let's say Romania had, I want to give you the Romanian example because it's the easiest way. I can give you whatever example. Let's go with Romania. So Romania, when applied for European Union membership or NATO membership, they had to give assurances that they don't have any territorial or problems with the neighboring countries, with were at that time Republic of Moldova, Ukraine, Hungary. Um, I don't think it was Yugoslavia then anymore, but let's say Serbia and Bulgaria. Let's take these countries that surround Romania. So then they had to make sure why, because once they were admitted, then Romania said, "Oh, I'm in this organization. Let's create a little problem with, let's say, Serbia and get Serbia in trouble. And once we provoke Serbia, Serbia will attack us, and then we're going to attack not us, we're going to attack us, and we're going to ask the organizations, oh, we are under attack. Let's kick Serbia's butt and get their territory maybe in the meantime." So in order to avoid these kind of situations, the members should say, okay, we don't have a problem with this, we don't have a problem with that. And the members of NATO, the countries that are members already, they have to unilaterally, in unison, all together, unanimity. In unanimity, they have to agree that we accept this new member in our organization. They have to say that. That means you don't have any problems with that country. Why? Because once within the organization, you don't want to have problems within the organization. Well, this problem exists at this point between Turkey and Greece, and it's escalating. It's escalating for various reasons. I have here a multiple reasons. Here we have an article from Associated Press from June 1st, 2022. And this is the title. Turkey breaks off high-level talks with Greece as rift grows. I don't know if the article will provide a circumstance, but if not, I will give you a 35 seconds briefing here. So Turkey will no longer hold high-level talks with neighboring Greece, Turkish President Erdogan said Wednesday amid rising tensions between the traditional rivals. Ankara resumed negotiations with Athens last year following a 5-year break to address differences over a range of issues such as mineral exploitation in eastern Mediterranean and rival claims in the Aegean Sea. We broke off our high-level strategy council meetings with Greece, Erdogan told a meeting of his party's lawmakers in Ankara, adding, and I'm quoting again, "Don't you learn any lessons from history? Don't try to dance with Turkey," end quote. The talks had made little headways but were a means for the two countries to air out their grievances without resorting to a potential armed standoff as had occurred as recently as 2 years ago. Erdogan pivot on the talks appeared to have been triggered last week when he signaled his displeasure at comments made by Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis during a trip to the United States, the boss. Erdogan said Mitsotakis no longer exists for him after accusing the Greek leader of trying to block Turkey's acquisition of F-16 fighter planes. Erdogan also commented on Turkey's objection Sweden and Finland joining NATO. Ankara has complained the Nordic states harbor terrorist suspects and arm a group in Syria it accuses of being an extension of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, that has waged a 38-year insurgency inside Turkey. And NATO is a security organization and defense organization, not a support organization for terrorist organizations, Erdogan said. The US and the EU have categorized the PKK as a terror group. However, its Syrian wing, the People's Protection Unit, or YPG, has played a leading role in the US-led fight against the Islamic State group, blah, blah, blah. That's covering for the United States right now and for the Kurds. Erdogan said those who tried to legitimize the PKK with the latter tricks were deceiving themselves, not us, and quotes of quote. The president added that Turkey would not change its stance on the Swedish and Finnish NATO application without seeing, and I'm quoting, binding documents. Oh, no words? Oh my God, this must be a good one. End quotes, demonstrating an hardened approach to those Ankara considers terrorists. Ankara, not anybody else. Regarding a new cross-border military operation in Syria, Erdogan said Turkey was entering a new phase in its goal to create a 30 kilometers, 19-mile buffer zone south of the frontier. The territory is controlled by a Syrian Kurdish administration, and Ankara said it has been used to launch attacks on Turkey. Erdogan singled out the towns of the Tel Rifat and Babababab. Targets Turkey will be cleaning of terrorists. Both lie west of the Euphrates River, while the main Kurdish-controlled region in the east. The thing is, there are some problems with some 12 islands in the Mediterranean Sea that are controlled by Athens, by Greece, and the Turks want them, or they dispute them, saying that they were given to the Greeks after the Second World War, and they were theirs in 1912, and they should be given back because there's some resources in the in the area, so they have to tap those resources. The thing is, and I spoke about this in my previous video, the Turks go back only to 1912 to claim those islands, when probably at that point were theirs. But if we go by that kind of, so say, okay, well, after the Second World War, you were Greece, you were given those islands, which were ours in 1912. And the Turks can go, yeah, but those islands probably were theirs, I don't know, in year 800, CE, Common Era. And where were you at that time, Turkey? Hey, Turkish people, hello. Where have you been? Where are you? Oh, you were still in Asia at that time, so it's ours, right? So if you go by that, and the Greeks can go if they want more than that, 2,500 years ago, and I'm pretty sure those islands were theirs at that time, and not, how do you call those, Persians. But even if they were not, Greek island at that time, and they were Persians, the Persians are not Turks, so then that's Iranians now. Those islands are Iranians. So how far? And we go to God, to go back to when it was what? Neanderthal in Europe, and they own that? Or what's going on here? I mean, how far do we go back? Nevertheless, Germany also jumped in between, supposedly, this scuffle between Turkey and Greece. So this article from Reuters on June 1st, 2022, it says Germany's Scholz calls on Turkey to refrain from provoking Greece. So we already know on whose side is Germany. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has called on Turkey to exercise restraint towards Greece as tensions between the two countries have flared, a German government spokesperson said on Wednesday. What's his name, or what's her name? The Chancellor is of the opinion that given the current situation, it is necessary for all NATO allies to stand together and refrain from provocations among themselves, end quote. The spokesperson told a regular news conference in Berlin. Invading Greek airspace and flying over Greek islands is not okay. It seems counterproductive and against the spirit of the alliance, added the spokesperson. Yeah, Turkey and Greece, both NATO allies, have long been at odds over a host of issues such as maritime boundaries, the extent of their continental shelves and airspace, and relations with ethnicity splits in Cyprus. Ethnicity ethnically split Cyprus. Cyprus is between Turks and Greeks split. Germany is committed to resolving the open question between Greece and Turkey in private dialogue and on the basis of international law, said a spokesperson, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, said the spokesperson, and I'm quoting, we cannot accept the questioning of the sovereignty of member states of the European Union. Ooh, there's a problem because Greece is not a member of the European Union, but no, I'm sorry, Turkey is not a member of the European Union, but Greece is. So again, Greece takes refuge now with the European Union and then takes NATO. It's now always the groups, who you belong in what group, where. And there's another yesterday I posted another video speaking about a Turkish politician. They label that person far right, but you know that these labels are based on whomever writes the article and what's the how they want to paint the person. Nevertheless, this guy, I can't remember his name, he said that the fact that Greece will allow some NATO American, not NATO, American bases on their territory, that's a direct threat to Turkey. So that's another thing. Is like, what are you talking about? Aren't you in the same organization? How an American base, military base, or three, or whatever they want to have in Greece, are a threat to you since you're partners? You know what I mean? But I guess they know things that we don't know them yet. Nevertheless, it's interesting to note that or to notice that only Americans have bases in other countries, but no other country has military bases on their territory as NATO alliance, defensive help, support, and blah, blah, blah. Isn't that strange? No, it's not, because that's the way NATO is. NATO belongs to the United States, and the rest are just their helpers, and as they dictate. As the Russians said, vassal states. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, be just, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with these two countries, with Turkey and Athens, Greece. Athens with Greece, given the circumstances with Ukraine scuffle over there.